Hello everyone, welcome back to Bleed Electrical. This is course on Energy Management and Audit, and I'm Triveli Naidu from the Department of Electrical Engineering at St. Vincent College of Engineering and Technology, Nagpur. In the previous video, we have seen what are the different energy audit instruments and learned. If you have not watched the previous video, you'll find the link in the description box. So, in India, the government keeps a check on energy conservation. So do we have the Energy Conservation Act 2001. So in this video, let us learn about Energy Conservation Act. Now the question arises, why Energy Conservation Act? Energy Conservation Act because India needs to sustain a GDP growth rate of over 9% per annum. So it is so important for us. If we want to increase our GDP rate, if we want to eliminate poverty, then we'll have to think about saving money. And how can we save money? The present installed capacity is 1,38,000 megawatts. And estimate potential for energy saving during the peak is assumed to be 9,240 megawatts. So from energy, you can have a maximum saving. So if you conserve energy, you save a lot of money and GDP increases, so we can eliminate poverty. So in India, we pay a lot of attention on energy conservation. So in a country like us, where energy conservation is so important, there is a must to have some act or some policies made. So we have Energy Conservation Act 2001, an act to provide for efficient use of energy. Okay, and it extends to a whole of India except for Jammu and Kashmir, and it was enacted by Parliament in 52nd year of Republic of India on October 2001. And the Bureau of Energy Efficiency came into existence after this. Okay, we have already elaborated about Bureau of Energy Efficiency in the lectures, in the introductory lectures. So now we'll be studying more about Energy Conservation Act 2001. Okay. Now, Energy Conservation Act, we have 10 chapters altogether. So chapter number 1 is introductory, preliminary. Okay, it gives you the introduction, it briefs you about the Energy Conservation Act, its history, its definition. Okay, everything, the title and all you come to know. Then chapter 2 is all about Bureau of Energy Efficiency. Bureau of Energy Efficiency was altogether for policy making purposes in order to have a very strict review and monitoring on energy conservation techniques in different industries, or be it households or residential areas. So Bureau of Energy Efficiency does a lot of activities as far as Energy Conservation Act is concerned. So the Bureau of Energy Efficiency, as I told you, came into picture after the making of this act in 2001. So what does it do? So chapter 2 is all about establishment and incorporation of Bureau of Energy Efficiency. Then it tells you about the management of this Bureau of Energy Efficiency. It tells you about the meetings of Governing Council. It speaks about vacancies, not to invalidate proceedings of Bureau, Governing Council or Committee. Then it tells you about removal of member from office, that is the Bureau of Energy Efficiency Office. Okay, then constitution of advisory committees and other committees. Then it talks about Director General of Bureau. Then it gives you brief information about officers and employees of Bureau. It gives you authentication of orders and decisions of bureaus. And then you have chapter number 3. Chapter number 3 elaborates on transfer of assets, liabilities, etc. of Energy Management Center to Bureau. Now obviously, if you are setting up such a big agency like Bureau of Energy Efficiency, right? It's a big agency, so you'll have so many employees working under the same roof. Right? So you have different liabilities also. You have to pay them. You have to do such a lot of things. You have to manage the buildings, their offices, everything has to be done. So transfer of assets and liabilities is also a must. So chapter number 3 talks about all these things. Then it gives you brief information about transfer of assets, liabilities and employees of Energy Management Center. Then chapter number 4. Chapter number 4 talks about powers and functions of the Bureau. Bureau is Bureau of Energy Efficiency. Chapter number 5 deals with power of central government to facilitate and enforce efficient use of energy and its conservation. So under this chapter, you find power of central government to enforce efficient use of energy and its conservation. You find power of central government to issue energy saving certificate. You find power of central government to specify value of energy. So this is what all elaboration is there in chapter number 5. Without wasting much of our time, let's come quickly to chapter number 6. Chapter number 6 is all about power of state government to facilitate and enforce efficient use of energy and its conservation. It talks about power of state government to enforce certain provision for efficient use of energy and its conservation, about establishment of fund by state government, power of inspection, then power of central government or state government to issue directions. Chapter number 7 deals with finance, accounts and audit of the Bureau, that is Bureau of Energy Efficiency. It talks about grants and loans by the central government. It talks about establishment of fund by central government, all about borrowing powers of Bureau, then budget. It talks about the annual report to be laid before Parliament, and accounts and audits. If you have a very good project regarding energy management systems and conservation, you get aided by government agencies in order to have your project made well. So this is all about chapter number 7. Now coming to chapter number 8. It describes about penalties and adjudication. It gives you penalty, then power to adjudicate, then factors to be taken into account by adjudicating officer, then civil court not to have jurisdiction. Then chapter number 9 is about appellate tribunal for energy conservation. It talks about the tax that you would have to pay in case you have certain penalties, energy taxes, appeal to appellate tribunal, then procedure and powers of appellate tribunal, then right of appellant to take assistance of legal practitioners or accredited auditor of government to appoint presenting officers, and finally appeal to Supreme Court. So all these things are considered under chapter number 9. Coming to the last chapter, that is chapter number 10, it talks about miscellaneous, and there are so many things included in miscellaneous. It could be power of central government to issue directions to the Bureau, power of central government to supersede Bureau, then default by companies, exemption from tax on income, protection of action taken in good faith, delegation. It talks about power to obtain information, then right to exemption, chairperson, members, officers, and so many other things. Then power of central government to issue directions, power of central government to make rules, power of state government to make rules, power of Bureau to make regulations, then rules and regulations to be laid before Parliament and state legislation, then application of other laws not bad, provision of act not to be applied in certain cases, then power to remove difficulty. So this was all about the Energy Conservation Act. I hope you understood. That's all for this video. In the upcoming video, I'll be talking about the role of energy manager in conducting an energy audit. Thank you.